Hi, my name's Hilliker and this is my speech. How many of you would consider yourselves addicted to your cell phone? How many of you are on your phone right now? Think of the last time you were on your phone. Did it serve a purpose? Through a survey conducted by Dr. David Greenfield, the director of the Center of Internet and Technology Addiction, 90% of Americans fall into the category of overusing their cell phone. I'm here to discuss just how that misuse is damaging our ability to interact with one another. I'll be talking about the science behind why cell phones are so addicting, examples of misuse in our everyday lives, and just how that has negatively changed our society's way of communicating. So where does our addiction come from? Dr. Greenfield calls our cell phones the world's tiniest slot machine. Just like a slot machine does, our cell phones rely on a term called variable reinforcement. This means that through usage, we are rewarded. However, we don't know when or how much, so we keep coming back. This is just like our phones. Dopamine, a chemical made in our body that is related to pleasure, is released when we receive a text, scroll through social media, get an email, online shop, and so forth. In our body's hunt for dopamine, we continue to check our phones hoping for the same effect. This is the cause of misuse of our cell phones, why checking one text can turn into checking everything on your phone, accounting for meaningless loss of time, or being on your phone when you know you have something to do. Or being on your phone when you know you don't need to be distracted, like being with other people or doing an activity. Let's take a scenario that I believe many of us experienced in our daily lives. How many times have you been having a conversation with someone and you or them are on a phone? Maybe you or them even starts glancing or scrolling through it. Maybe even mid-conversation, you or them answers a call. You may have not noticed all this happening at this time because it's so common for us today. But afterwards, you may have felt something lacking in the interaction. Maybe even felt that the conversation wasn't that important. You might have even left feeling a little hurt. According to Sherry Tucker, author of How Smartphones Are Killing Us, the presence of cell phones in our conversations are doing two things. One, it's diminishing the quality of our conversation. How, you may ask? By using a cell phone, that person has chosen to limit the meaningful content of your conversation to something that they don't mind interrupting. Meaning that they have chosen that the person in front of them doesn't require all their attention, resulting in Tucker's second point, that by doing this we are sacrificing any hopes of a meaningful connection. Now, the person using the cell phone may have not intended any of this. They may have just been harmlessly using their phone like many of us tend to do. Now, that's because we as a society have gotten so accustomed to being continuously entertained by our cell phones that we don't allow a chance for a lull in conversation, boredom, or feelings of awkwardness. Quoting Tucker, she states, that feeling that you don't have to commit yourself 100%, and you can avoid the terror that there will be a moment in an interaction when you'll be bored. When in reality, we are cheating our brains out of the work to keep the conversation going, push through the awkward silence, or just end the conversation. Although technology has given us an infinite amount of benefits that we all enjoy from time to time, communicating with people through screens doesn't allow the same form of connection and intimacy that face-to-face interactions allow. Things like body language, eye contact, tone of voice, and physical touch are all things that convey a sense of understanding for ourselves and the other person that you won't be able to get through a screen. Replacing face-to-face interaction with screen time is making generations more socially awkward and unable to recognize emotion. According to a study conducted by the Children's Digital Media Center through the University of California, Los Angeles, 2 sets of students ages 11 to 12 were taken to a camp for 5 days. One group was given technology to use freely throughout their stay, the others weren't. At the end of the stay, both groups of students were shown the images of faces and were asked to identify their emotions. They were also shown videos of actors and were asked to identify the emotions the actors were trying to simulate. The students who went without the technology scored significantly better than the ones who didn't. Furthermore, the students also made far fewer mistakes than when they arrived originally. This study shows just how much of an impact only 5 days of being technology-free can affect how we perceive the world and ultimately how we interact with one another. In summary, to quote the 14th Dalai Lama, we human beings are social beings. We come into the world as a result of others' actions. We survive here in dependence on others. Whether we like it or not, there is hardly a moment of our lives when we do not benefit from others' activities. For thousands of years, we have developed to benefit from having face-to-face interactions. Now that's being substituted with emojis, social media, and texting. We as a society are blissfully unaware of how this is negatively impacting how we communicate. So next time you're having a conversation, challenge yourself and leave the cell phone out of it.